I'm Norm Murray, and welcome to the Norm Report. Relevancy is such a powerful human drive and human emotion that we will do almost anything to feel relevant, to feel like we count, that we matter. Think about that. Think about people that you may know or people in society who are out there right now disrupting the world or disrupting social media simply because they want to feel important, they want to feel relevant. And they will go to some incredible extremes. And even rich people and powerful people still feel that need to do almost anything to maintain that relevancy, to really sort of count and matter. So in the world of AI, let me ask you this. If AI can write and decide and think faster and cheaper even than you, then how relevant are you? And this is a thought that has infused all of us. I'm sure you've been thinking about that. Regardless of what level of in your organization that you are, you've probably had that thought. You know, AI is so fast, it's so quick, it's so complex, it's super intelligent. And I wrote a little piece, a little microblog about this, that if AI is super intelligent, then does that make us super stupid? Seems to follow, ipso facto. And this is one of the great human struggles that I believe that we're about to embark on. And there's a lot of talk about AI replacing jobs and even whole industries. And you know that's starting to happen. And that might even accelerate in the next 6 months to a year. Nobody knows for sure, because AI is developing and expanding and morphing and shape-shifting so rapidly. Just when you think you have control and you have a sense of it, it changes into something else. And it's taken on a life on its own. Perhaps it used to start like you maybe thought about it as an app, or we've got this app we're using at work, or I'm on this platform like OpenAI's ChatGPT or Grok or whatever. But now it just seems to be omnipresent. It seems to be everywhere, and it's consistent and constant. And if you are in a situation at the office or in your work where you are being asked to use certain AI tools or AI apps or AI procedures, I'm sure you're getting frustrated because you can't keep up with trying to make sense or understand the data. And you are being asked more and more to use AI to make sense of the world around you and the future in your work environment. It's a very powerful technology, and I'm finding that humans are having a difficult time keeping up. But the psychology behind it to me is really fascinating, because human relevance is something that I'm really passionate about, or making sense of that, or understanding that even at a deeper level, is that even if you're not using AI, but you have been exposed to all the media and all the hype, so to speak, around it, it has got into your brain that, is this going to diminish me in some way? Is this going to affect my relevancy? I mean, I give the example of, let's say that I say to you that you're stupid. And I keep saying that as often as I see you or meet you, that you're stupid. Yeah. And if I have any impact or any reason to have some authority or some influence over your life, you're going to balk at that first. You're going to say, no, this is crazy. Why does Norm want to fight with me? Or why is he getting so aggressive, and so on and so forth. But if I keep saying that to you, I will start to wear you down. And then you will make this one mistake eventually where you will say, well, Norm seems to be a pretty smart guy. There's no really reason. Why is he saying this? So there must be something about me that makes me stupid. And as soon as you have that thought, that self-fulfilling prophecy, you may even start to, therefore, act in a way that comes across as stupid. And the circle is complete. So even though that thought has sort of entered your brain, you have now internalized it. And I feel in some ways this is what's happened today, that some of us are maybe not even using AI, or some of you are maybe not even experts in AI, but you know of it. It's in the news every day and you've internalized it. And it's starting to feel scary. And it's starting to eat away at your brain. Like, you hear words like super intelligence and omnipresent, and AI is transforming this, and AI is changing that, and AI is going to take over this and take over that. And you're thinking, well, how is AI going to affect me? And because the technology is so powerful and so pervasive, you cannot but help, as an ordinary human being, feel intimidated and feel like irrelevant, ostensibly. And this is my point, that AI was created to mimic the human brain. It is created to replicate the human brain, and it's advancing so fast from artificial intelligence, narrow intelligence, to artificial general intelligence, where it's going to start reasoning and deciding on its own, that it's eventually going to come to the point where it's going to say, well, human beings aren't as smart as me. Imagine an entity. Imagine talking to an entity. For example, you go to a job interview, and it may not even be virtual. Let's say you walk into an office, and something that looks human but is not human is sitting across the desk from you. And that entity, that AI entity, starts to interview you. Now, as human beings, when we meet somebody, especially for the first time, our smile, our tone of voice, our facial features, our body language are all cues that you're looking for, especially eye contact. Because in an interview setting, you want to be warm, you want to be cordial, of course, but more importantly, you want to come across credible. So when you answer a question, you're looking for visual cues from that fellow human across the table from you. And when you know already that that is not a fellow human, what kind of psychology is that? How is that going to affect you? And even more powerfully, often when you go to a job interview or a presentation, let's say with a client, time is taken because people have to meet in groups and have a session and a powwow session to discuss, oh, this is how my interview with Norm went, or this is how Norm's presentation about what he can do for us, and so on and so forth. So they talk and they gather and they compare and they say, well, what's his personality like, and blah, 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 blah. But when you're sitting with a super intelligent being, for lack of a better term, all of that's happening in real time. So within minutes of you speaking or you presenting, that entity has compared you to millions of other candidates or millions of other similar people with similar backgrounds and experiences, and so on, and says and makes a decision whether you are the right person for this job or the right person for this assignment or whatever the case may be. And so imagine that. So when you leave and need to then download all that information, how do you prepare for the next meeting? Maybe not with the same entity, but another entity. But artificial intelligence, nevertheless. That's going to be really, really difficult. So I said this because, like I said, I'm really passionate about this subject. And I feel that before AI sort of takes over humanity or replaces people at work, it's going to start to not make us feel irrelevant, because it can't make us do that, but because of its actual presence and because of how we internalize information, especially information that is scary and makes us fearful, we're going to do it to ourselves. So there are a lot of people now walking around and a lot of people working in companies who are starting to feel irrelevant, even though they don't have actual evidence that they are. They're starting to feel irrelevant. And so what happens, therefore, is that when they are then introduced to AI, that level of nervousness and stress, or I can't make a mistake, or can I do this, all those negative thoughts start to come into our heads. And it's that self-fulfilling prophecy, that internalization of fear that we feel, and therefore it becomes almost an habit. So every time you hear AI, almost like a phobia, I suppose, when you hear the word AI, you think, oh my, here is something that is smarter than me. And guys, it doesn't help because organizations are using now AI, superintelligence, to spy and to surveil their employees. And it started off very much as just keystrokes and the measuring of keystrokes to keep tabs of people who are working remotely or even at their desks in the office. But now you have smart cameras that are AI infused or AI enabled, that track your eye movements on the screen, that give a sense of your body language and make predictions about whether you're motivated, whether you have the right attitude, whether you're committed to the task, and so on and so forth. And that data is then sent and uploaded to your boss. And it's getting to the point now where that boss may not be human. What if you're starting to get not just surveilled by AI, but actually managed by AI? Think about performance reviews, for example. You walk into a performance review with your boss and a little bit of banter, and you guys start to sit down and review the last quarter or whatever, how often your performance review is. And, obviously they look at the KPIs or the objectives that they had set for you at the beginning of the quarter and, get a feel from you as to how you're going about it and what you achieved, not achieved, what's left to do. And, it's just a typical regular performance review. But with artificial intelligence, it's going to be a different experience. It's almost going to be a non-negotiable experience. And it's got templates after templates after templates as to what you should have accomplished by now, how you went about doing what you did. It'll show you on the screen, how you could have done things better and differently. And there's no place to run from the data. There's no place to run from the evidence. And there's no negotiating, perhaps. So there's a sense of feeling trapped, a sense of how am I going to be myself in this environment? How am I going to be human in this environment? And these are some of the challenges and some of the discussions I'm having with my clients, my organizations I work with, and leaders that I work with, is how to create an environment where the human being still feels relevant. And this is such an important concept because if you start to disenfranchise and start to create fear, intimidation in your human employees, it's going to affect your culture, it's going to affect your bottom line. Unless you've decided that 100% of your company is going to be run by artificial intelligence. If you still need human employees, you have to learn and understand how to build a collaborative human-machine environment. And this doesn't come easy and doesn't come naturally because first of all, I'm finding in the work that I'm doing that a lot of organizations and leaders are following this ready, fire, aim paradigm. In other words, they don't have a strategy. They're just using and employing AI almost willy-nilly, almost all throughout the organization because that's the thing to do. So they're spending a lot of money and implementing this. But there's no clear strategy behind it. It's like just throwing stuff at the wall and hopefully it sticks. And it's the idea that, and I suppose because not many leaders actually really understand what AI is and how it works. I mean, to be honest with you, the people who have developed a lot of the AI, if you talk to people at OpenAI, they've been on camera. If you watch a pretty powerful Netflix documentary about OpenAI, where they even admit that, they don't really know how this thing works. So it's like this Frankenstein monster that's been mashed together and just seems to work. But nobody really knows what that magic glue is that makes it work. And once it becomes sentient, once it starts to think for itself, imagine what the world is going to be like. Then a lot of organizations also, because I've paid money, I best sort of use it as quickly as possible and get very excited. And I know for me, for example, I love technology. And with all the technology that I've bought over the years, obviously it comes with a manual or user manual. And I'm so excited about receiving that technology that, I just sort of cursory go through it, and because I just want to get to it. I just want to turn it on, charge it up, turn it on, and use it. And I just go through it in a cursory way. Don't really read the fine details of all the applications and all the accessories and all the finer points of how to use the technology. My attitude is, man, it doesn't matter. I'll just make it up as I go along, and I'll just go with it. AI is not like that. And I think a lot of leaders really are not literate in using AI. Certainly their employees aren't. And then what I'm finding also is that they don't really have any measures. So what's the point of using AI? What are you trying to achieve? What is the goal? What are the numerical measuring points, the data points, the KPIs, and what is the return on investment on this? So again, they haven't really thought through that. And so they've employed AI without fully understanding it, without a clear strategy and a framework, especially an ethical framework about how it's going to work with human employees. They don't really have any measures in place. They haven't actually fully also trained their employees to use it, and yet it's in the organization. And it's creating havoc, absolute havoc. But AI is not something today you can just stop, because the world is just infused with it. It's not just soup du jour anymore. It's not just a passé entity. It is literally everywhere. And so for one company to stop when their competitors are using it and getting great benefit out of it, it's pretty tough today. But organizations need to learn how to use it. They need to have a clear strategy. They need to have clear measures, and they need to train their people on how to use it. Because if you don't, that self-fulfilling prophecy of I am not relevant is going to be completely infused in your culture and your organization. And if you as a senior leader, too, as a normal human being, if I can put it that way, are feeling inadequate and feeling like I'm not relevant, or I'm becoming less and less relevant, because there's evidence now where your company may be asking you to train the AI, in other words, download all your knowledge, all your wisdom. And once you do that, then how relevant are you? When you're dealing with a super intelligence and you've given them as much as possible, if I can say it, all your intelligence, and it's got the intelligence of 8 billion people, let's say, not just today, but since the dawn of time in its memory banks, and it can take all that information and it can combine it, parse it, sift it, so mix it, depending on what question you ask it. Gosh, and at the speed of light. How do you compete with that? So, like I say, I'm passionate about AI and I'm passionate about technology. Always have been. But I'm equally passionate about human relevance. And I feel that this is the next frontier that we're going to have to cross, the next Rubicon, if we want to live in the digital age, or at least the age of AI. That unless we nail this concept of how do I maintain my relevance, and from a leadership perspective, how do I maintain the relevance of the people in my charge, the humans in my charge, it's going to be a very difficult time for everybody. So I want to continue to talk about this, so I'll make some more content related to this. Please also follow or at least subscribe to my weekly podcast, my audio podcast. Also, don't forget my weekly executive briefing, Nexus Intelligence. I'll put the links there. But, thank you for joining me today on the Norm Report. And let's keep talking. Until next time. Speak soon. Take care.